Have you ever noticed that some women seem to command respect the moment they begin speaking? They aren't always the most senior person in the room, nor the most experienced, and yet people listen. Their ideas seem to carry more weight. Their contributions are remembered, and their opinions taken seriously. Most people assume this is about expertise, and that certainly matters, but if you spent any time in the workplace, you've probably noticed something interesting. The most knowledgeable person isn't always the person people listen to most. Welcome back to Gracefully Lori. I'm Lori. If you're new here, this channel is for women who want to live authentically, express themselves with intention, and move through the world with quiet, modern grace. As someone who served in senior roles for more than 20 years, including some executive roles, I'm going to share 5 communication techniques that elegant women often understand and master in professional settings. Techniques that help ensure their ideas are heard, understood, and remembered. Because when it comes to the workplace communication, it's not always your expertise that makes the difference. Sometimes it's how that expertise is communicated. Technique 1. The first technique is one that quietly undermines many highly capable professionals, and most don't even realize they're doing it. Most of us were taught to soften our language so we don't sound arrogant. We don't want to appear demanding or come across as overly confident. So we begin sentences with phrases like, "Sorry, but I was just thinking maybe we could. I might be wrong, but." The intention is usually kindness or not wanting to appear bossy. The problem is that these phrases often weaken the message before we've ever made our point. Here's the difference. Version 1. I was just thinking maybe we could consider changing the timeline. Or version 2. I recommend we adjust the timeline. Same idea, very different impression. Or version 1. Sorry, but I think there may be a problem with this approach. Versus version 2. I have concerns about this approach. Directness is not aggression. Directness is clarity. Elegant communicators don't spend time apologizing for having expertise. They state their thoughts clearly, respectfully, and confidently, and they allow the quality of their ideas to speak for themselves. But communicating clearly isn't enough. People also need to understand why your ideas matter. Technique 2. This is where many professionals unintentionally become forgettable. Imagine 2 people sharing the exact same accomplishment. The first says, we implemented a new process and reduced turnaround time by 15%. That's informative. Now, listen to this version. 6 months ago, our team was spending 40 hours manually processing these requests. We redesigned the workflow, automated 2 steps, and reduced the turnaround time by 15%. The facts haven't changed, but now we understand the journey and we understand the challenge. Most importantly, we understand the impact. In the second version, we used storytelling. Stories provide context and meaning. They make information memorable. This doesn't mean every point requires a dramatic narrative. It simply means helping people understand the problem, the actions taken, and the result. When you do this, you stop sounding like someone reporting activity and you begin sounding like someone creating outcomes. But even a great story can fall flat if people don't understand why the information matters in the first place. So, technique 3. The next technique is subtle, but it can completely change how people perceive your contributions. Most people answer the question that was asked. Elegant communicators answer the question and then help others understand its significance. Imagine someone asks, how many people attended the event? You could answer 312. That's accurate. But consider this version, 312, which is about 20% higher than last year and suggests we're reaching audiences we haven't traditionally engaged. Now the information has meaning. Or perhaps someone asks, did we meet the deadline? Instead of simply saying yes, you might add, yes, and because we completed it early, the team now has additional time for testing before launch. Information tells people what happened. Context helps people understand why it matters. This isn't about talking more. It's about helping people see the bigger picture. And when you consistently do that, your contributions become more valuable because they help others make better decisions. And quite frankly, when you do this, over time, people begin to look for you when they want understanding and they better see and understand the value and contributions you bring to the table. Of course, communicating effectively becomes much more challenging when people don't agree with you. So, technique 4. This is one of the most important professional skills I have observed throughout my career. Many people fear disagreement. They assume disagreement automatically means conflict or tension or damaged relationships. So, they avoid it. They soften their position. They retreat from the conversation. Or they quickly concede their point to keep the peace. The problem is that good decisions often require thoughtful disagreement. Different perspectives improve outcomes. Questions reveal blind spots. Constructive debate strengthens ideas. Elegant communicators understand this. They don't view disagreement as something to avoid. They view it as something to manage. Here's a framework you can use. First, acknowledge the other person's perspective. I can see why you'd approach it that way. Second, state your position clearly. My concern is da-da-da-da-da-da. Third, identify common ground. I think we both want the same outcome. And finally, move toward collaborative problem solving. What if we explored another option? The goal isn't to win. Instead, the goal is to arrive at the best possible solution. That's what matters most in the work environment. And that requires the confidence to stay engaged even when opinions differ. But perhaps the greatest test of composure comes when someone doesn't allow you to finish speaking at all. Technique 5. Few workplace experiences are more frustrating than being interrupted. When interruptions happen, many people tend to respond in one of two different ways. They either become silent and allow it to continue, or they react emotionally and create tension. Neither response really serves them well. Elegant communicators take a different approach. They remain calm, but they remain firm. Simple phrases can be incredibly effective. Here are a few examples. I'd like to finish my point. One moment, I wasn't finished. Please hold that thought for a moment. Notice what these phrases have in common. They are not apologetic, hostile, or defensive. They just demonstrate calm authority. And equally important, elegant communicators continue speaking. They don't stop and wait for permission. They simply resume their thought. Another situation professionals encounter is when an idea is overlooked, only to be praised when someone else repeats it later. In those moments, elegant communicators often use a technique called amplification, which essentially is using elaboration to emphasize a point. So here's amplification in action. Thank you for coming back to my earlier point. I agree that focusing on that area is important. It's gracious and it's professional. More, it appropriately reconnects the idea to you, the original source. Handling these types of issues well sends a powerful message. It communicates that you value your contributions, and it also clearly shows the expectation about receiving the same consideration given to others. When you look at these 5 techniques together, you'll notice something they all have in common. None of them are about speaking louder, dominating conversations, or proving you're the smartest person in the room. They're about helping other people fully understand your ideas. Expertise matters, but expertise alone isn't what makes people listen. People listen when expertise is communicated with clarity, when it's supported with context, when it's delivered with composure, and when it is expressed with conviction. To me, that is one of the most practical forms of grace in professional life. Grace isn't making yourself smaller or remaining silent. Grace is communicating with enough clarity, confidence, and purpose that others can genuinely hear what you have to say. And when that happens, your expertise finally has the opportunity to make the impact it deserves. So I'd love to know, what is something you've learned about communicating in the workplace? Please share it in the comments below. I love hearing your stories. And if you're interested in learning more about professional communication, just type communication in the comments and I'll do another installment. And if this resonated with you, please like the video and consider subscribing. It helps other people find content that might be meaningful for them too. Until next time, my graceful friends.